Hello, I'm Calvin Morris, and today I'm going to be talking about the Orville. We're 8 episodes into a 13 episode season, so I think it's a good time because now we've got a sort of a good snapshot picture of what the Orville's going to look like, what the show is like, what the characters are like, their interactions with each other. So it's a good time to really talk about the show. It started off as a sort of a sci-fi parody spoof of Star Trek: The Next Generation. But in just sort of 8 short episodes, the show has kind of evolved, and it's become more than that. The dynamic of the show has actually changed. Earlier episodes were sort of more about the gags and sort of playing to sci-fi tropes, but now sort of the gags have sort of taken a back seat, and the sci-fi stories have come forward, and to all intents and purposes, they are pretty good sci-fi stories. You know, they're not what I would consider to be sort of groundbreaking stuff, but it's really enjoyable to watch. Episodes like The Krill, which deals with sort of looking behind the curtain at sort of religious fundamentalists, or Majority Rule, which is an episode I love, which it tends to be sort of an episode that sort of puts a magnifying glass over sort of popularity and internet bullying and the dangers of social networking and things like that. And obviously the last episode that we had, which was Into the Fold, which it's the show has rapidly evolved from being the parody that it was to being its own light entertainment thing. Its detriment is the fact that it is being built on the back of The Next Generation. That's the problem with the show, because I think that the show is actually strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet and be its own thing. So I'd be interested to see where the next season of the Orville is going to evolve to. You know, I think this is a good starting point, a very good starting point, because the show is, like I said, it's a light entertainment, but it's also it's a show that anybody can watch. I don't think many people are going to take offence to it. There's going to be a little bit of sort of language being used in the show, but there might even be a little bit of gore as well. But the gore is going to be sort of comedy gore, you know, where somebody's going to get splashed on somebody and that sort of thing. But it's not going to be anything really offensive. The characters in the show, I think, are good. That's pretty much where the comedy comes from, is sort of the back and forth with the characters and the sort of the small talk between the characters as well. They tend to know each other because obviously Seth MacFarlane, who plays the captain, Ed Mercer, his ex-wife is the commander, his friend is the pilot. So there's a lot of backstory between these people and a lot of previous interaction between these people. So they have a shorthand, and that's quite nice to see. That is quite nice to see. Plus, like I said, the comedy now has really taken a back seat to the sci-fi stories. It's still there, and there's still some fun there, and it does still play to sort of sci-fi tropes, but it's not the forefront of the show. The forefront of the show is a big space adventure that is fun to watch, that's enjoyable to see, that does tend to tell some really good science fiction stories, and is doing a bang up job of it. I'm really enjoying it. For example, the character of Bortas. Bortas is this sort of big, rough, gruff, sort of dwarf-like character. Then, but then when you see the episode where they want to have a child, it's talking about homosexuality. It's talking about peer pressure and all that sort of thing, and it just throws a new light onto the character. And then you've also got characters like I said, Ed Mercer, Seth MacFarlane's Ed Mercer. The character initially started off being something that you felt was just sort of incompetent, but he's had to make some really big decisions in the show, and he's not as incompetent as we first assumed. Same thing with Adrian Palicki, who plays his ex-wife, Commander Grayson. She's not as grinding as you first assume. And it's Isaac. Isaac looks like a sort of a 90s version of the robot from The Day the Earth Stood Still on a TV budget. But the fact that everybody just sort of takes it as that's what he looks like, that's what his species looks like, then they don't make an issue out of it. And even though it's, you know, probably not the best android you could design today, it works in tandem with the show very, very well. Same for the set. The set looks great, and all the sets look great. But again, it does come back to the fact that the Orville is telling some really good stories. And I'm really enjoying the show. I really am. I would like it to get away from the Star Trek vibe to the show, even though that's what the show initially is. But it does need to stand up on its own 2 feet now. So overall, if I have to summarise the Orville, I would say that it's a sci-fi adventure show that is light-hearted, doesn't take itself seriously, where the characters are far more competent than they first appear, and it still finds the time to do a bit of social commentary in the stories that it tells. It's a very enjoyable show. If you haven't seen the Orville, I would recommend that you check it out, because yeah, it is very much a parody of Trek, but it does such a damn good job of it. It doesn't matter. It's just a good, good way to kill 45 minutes. Anyway, that's what I think of the Orville. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the Orville, and I'll see you again next time. See you later, guys.